I'm Father Peter McGarry. I was born in south side of Chicago. I went to Mount Carmel High School for 1 year, and before I knew it, I signed a sheet for going to the seminary. In 1955, I took the train to Niagara with a whole bunch of guys, and when we got off the train, it stopped right in front of the monastery, and we walked up a hill. For me, that was a monstrous hill, but really, it was just a short distance. It wasn't a hill, but for me at that time. First year, I had to repeat first year. They asked me to repeat because I didn't have Latin. Then for third and fourth year, I was in Hamilton, Massachusetts. And at that time, in third year, I flunked Latin and chemistry. And they asked me again, would you want to stay? Now, my mom came all the way from Chicago to see me, and she had a message for me from my dad. And she said, the door comes in and the door goes out. We'll support you no matter what you want. And I continued third year and then fourth year. So really I was in high school for 6 years. But I made it. And after Hamilton, went back to Mount Carmel for college, and then I went through college, and then also Washington. And in '69, I was ordained, and then my first assignment. Father John Melly was provincial at that time, and all my friends knew I wanted to go to Encino, California. So they left notes all over his room stating, Peter Encino, Peter Encino. Well, I did go to Encino. I teach history, and I was teacher of history. I loved it, and then went to night school to get my credits for being a principal. But then the person who was in charge said, you gotta speak properly. And you have trouble with speech. And I said to him, go to the parish that I serve and ask them how my sermons were. It's not how you speak, but what you speak about. That was very important. Well, I got rid of his complaints at that time. I became principal for a couple of years, and then I started the alumni society there because I told them, you gotta have alumni. And then I started the development program there, and so I became president then. And I had a secretary, great secretary. She came up to me one day. She had an offer from Stanford to take over from $1 million on requests. And she said, I have a loyalty to you. I looked at her and I said, you're fired. But please stay to the end of the year. She was shocked. I said, you're not going to make it in Catholic education. So get out of here. You're very talented. So with her help, we got another person to do the development work. And then from also the sophomore year, then the second year that I was there, I volunteered to go to Niagara to teach in the seminary. And that happened for 3 years because when I visited Chicago one summer, I went to the provincial and said, close the place. If you want to make money, then make it a boarding school. They're not seminarian. I think we only got one person, Sam Soterio, from that period of time to be ordained. And after 2 years, I asked to return to Encino. And as I said, I was a teacher and then took lessons to be a principal, then finally ended up as a principal, and then finally president. And then after a certain time, leaning against the wall, I said, you got to move on. So I went on a sabbatical to the Jesuit school of spirituality and worship. Then from there, I was asked, would you go to Glendale in Arizona? One of the priests was going to go on a semester sabbatical, and I did. Enjoyed it very much. And then was asked to go to Kansas because one of the priests got sick, and so I went to Kansas, and at Leavenworth I helped out and so forth, and then I get a phone call from the provincial, and the provincial says, would you be vocation director? I almost fell off my chair at this moment. And I said, can I have a few moments to think about it overnight? And he said, fine. So I said, yes, I will. So I came to Chicago, lived at Aylesford. My office was over near where the finance office once was. And I think it was for 11 years. Vocation work is so hard. And do you believe what they've written? And generally, I would make a decision with my gut. So I made a couple of mistakes on persons. But we have, I think I got 5 Carmelites who are priests now that I brought in. After that, I lived in Aylesford, and then while in Aylesford, I didn't feel like there were I needed more prayer. So I asked to be transferred to Mount Carmel High School, and then I drove from there back and forth to Darien for vocation work. After that, I went to Mount Carmel, and St. Gelasius opened up. And I was living at St. Gelasius for a period of time. It was a very great community. And after that, I went to New Jersey, and I built, there are many friends, and during Lent and Christmas, I had meditation periods during that period of time. And people would come in the evening. I would have music and video and so forth for the people. I enjoyed that very much. And also I got banners made by this one wonderful lady that did it for free. After that, building a walkway in the forest behind us. I had a meditation walk. I had everything there. It was beautiful. And but I asked again, can I move to Chicago? And Father Carl greeted me. I think he was principal at Mount Carmel or president. And at Mount Carmel, I became alumni director And the worst thing about that was the person, we had alumni reunions. Generally, you get 500 people. But the guy dies. And he didn't use computers. So I spent almost 12 hours a day searching who's coming, who paid, and so forth. Thank God, by the grace of God, it worked. It worked out. And then I became alumni director for about, I would say, about 6 years. And I became pastor of St. Gelasius, an African-American church. I loved it. I cleaned the church, cleaned the rectory. It was kind of a mess. And but my doctor told me, if you don't leave, you're going to be carried out, because we really didn't have any money. However, the people in the church gave generously, because the person from the finance office, Archdiocese of Chicago, told me, if everybody gave as your parishioners, we'd be rolling in money. And so I was pleased, but it was affecting me. It was very affecting me. So I had to leave at that one time. After the alumni and so forth, I worked with the football team I got 5 rings now. I just bought the 5th one. And I would say the mass for the team. Had a great time. But every time we began the new year, I would tell them, what I say here stays here. Because sometimes when I'm in speaking, I may say a certain word, and all the coaches would put their hands against their ears. And I said, remember, guys, what I say here stays here, because they could fire me, but they don't pay me. So why would they fire me? So after a number of years, last year, I said, time's up. So I retired from it. I may go back and forth. I haven't gotten a phone call yet if they're in need. If they're in need, I'll go, but I can't drive at night. So I stay over at Mount Carmel overnight. This year, I probably won't go to away games because it's so cold. And I can't. If I could get on the team bus, yes, that's okay. But last year was so cold at certain games. So after that, I was at Mount Carmel, and then I finally moved to Darien, to Aylesford. It's just peaceful. But I still help at St. Catherine's, and I still attend different things at Mount Carmel. But that is about my life. So I'm on the line, and right across from me is Rich Strain, the tallest, muscular person you would ever meet. So I had to make a fundamental judgment. Do I get killed? Do I set aside and let him kill the quarterback? Well, I'm still here. That's it. That was terrible. Okay.
All right. Perfect.
Yeah.